Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome and thank you so much for joining us at my monthly Recruiter on Call with Jobs. I'm very excited to have Mary Iswalt here. She is from Liquid Environmental Solutions, and we're going to have her introduce herself in a minute. So, if you can hear me, give me some positive signal, either in the chat or in a comment or something like that. It should be working just fine here, but I will introduce myself while we wait for some confirmation here. Usually, the chat will pop up on our screen. So, my name is Lynne Williams, and I'm in the suburbs of Philadelphia, specifically Paoli, Pennsylvania. I'm on what's called the Main Line, and I run two businesses. One, I write resumes and LinkedIn profiles, and two, I run a 501c3 nonprofit where we do career education, and we run about 18 to 25 events a month. This is one of them. And, most of them I would say are on Zoom. We do have a hybrid event. We may get back into some in-person events, and then we have this live event. So, okay, I've got a thumbs up here from Joey. Joey is from New Jersey. Gregory is from Canada. Lisa, oh my goodness, I think Lisa is from North Carolina. So I'm glad people are here and have acknowledged that they can hear me just fine. So I'm going to turn this over to Mary. And why don't you tell us where you're from and how long you've been a recruiter or in talent acquisition? You're in HR. So I have recruiters from recruiting companies, and then I have in-house talent acquisition, and you are an in-house talent acquisition. So we're going to have a little bit different perspective today. So how long have you been in talent acquisition and HR, and where are you from? Mm,
Environmental Solutions. In over 15 years, and currently excited to talk with you about the growth happening here at Liquid Environmental Solutions.
excellent. So tell us, what does Liquid Environmental Solutions do as a company?
Sure. So Liquid Environmental Solutions collects, treats, recycles, and either sells or disposes of non-hazardous liquid waste products. A bulk of our business is cleaning restaurants, hotels, schools, hospitals, wherever there might be a commercial, recycling that to create a wastewater byproduct as well as biofuel.
Wow. Okay. So that's a sustainable solution for many, rather than what would we do with all that oil and grease and whatnot if somebody didn't deal with it. So that's awesome to hear. So what are you
I had never
seeing
thought of
out
it.
there in the market right? All right, there's some delayed reaction we've got here.
So this is a market like, yeah, I'm noticing that as well on my end. The market right now is like one I've never seen before. So typically it is a candidate market or an employer market. And right now it's kind of hovering somewhere in between. And I think it really on the type of role. I think that in a lot of cases, candidates aren't seeing what they're looking for, or and in a lot of cases, companies are finding people that fit parameters of the roles that they're looking to fill. So it's a strange time right now, but I am encouraged by the unemployment rate remaining stable at 4.3% and the 172,000 jobs that were added in May.
All right. Yeah, somebody's saying that the audio seems to be cutting in and out. Um, I don't know whether it's her end or my end, and apologize. So hopefully it will, our message will get across to you. So, what do you see that's happening with AI? Are people submitting resumes to you? Can you tell if they have been written in AI? So let's talk about what you're seeing, and then do you use AI in order to help prepare for interviews? Were you able to hear that?
Answer is yes. We do get a fair amount of AI. I'm able to hear. We do
Uh,
receive some AI generated resumes. Sometimes it is easy to tell, other times it is not as easy to tell. But where you really dig down is in the initial interview to understand the experience that they have on their resume and some questions that experience is actually experience they have, or whether it is a good match for the job on paper.
ah, yeah. Um, oh, this is why people need to start, in my humble opinion, with a really well written resume that they write, and then they can tweak and modify, by adding different keywords and whatnot with AI. But yeah, you want to be your authentic self. So, do you have any advice for job seekers
Absolutely.
for crafting an effective resume that stands out?
Yes, definitely. First and foremost, I think to make it ATS friendly, avoid the heavily formatted resumes with icons and special characters and things like that. Make it clean. Also, try to provide results of what you've been able to achieve rather than just a list of tasks. You want to make this impact focused. And one of the things that I've learned to do over the past several years is I have a folder on my laptop at home where if I have a win or I'm some really great feedback in whether from a customer or from a hiring manager, I will file that away and I'll use that next time I update my resume to fortify what I have going on.
Yeah, that's a great idea. Um, so I also am totally with you with adding the metrics in the bullet points, but you don't want AI to add the metrics. I always ask AI to add an X as a
Right.
placeholder, and that X has to come from your own brain because you have to speak to it in an interview, right? Just like you said, you catch people, did they
Yeah.
really do this, or did AI generate it? So, are you looking at LinkedIn profiles when you are looking at candidates?
Absolutely, 100%.
And what are you seeing out there? Are people building their personal brand, or need some improvement, or, don't see some LinkedIn profiles? So there's a little bit of everything.
I do. I think there's a little bit of everything, but primarily, I think who are in or marketing are building out their brands and, just really, really building a full profile. Sometimes what I see in, or other candidates is a very sparse profile that may just have a title and a company. It may not even be up to date. So I think it's really important for candidates today to know that employers are going to look at the LinkedIn profile and to build that out as much as possible. It can follow your resume, or it could be a little bit different. If you have proprietary information on your resume or something that you should pay attention to make sure that it's not on your link.
All right. So, what would you like to see a candidate? How should a candidate build out their online presence on LinkedIn? What would appeal to you?
Sure. So I think, being able to, number one, differentiate yourself from others in your field is important. Um, Understand what your quote unquote superpower is. Where do you really shine and highlight that in
Mm,
your, not only your profile, but any content that you create. Like it or not, right now living in an age where as a job candidate, it is a very performative type of situation to be in. And the more that you can put out content that's relevant to the type of work you're doing, and who you are as a professional, the more you're going to show up in people and get noticed by employers.
yeah. So, content putting out. My advice to job seekers, well, anybody actually on LinkedIn, is you should be commenting at least 5 times a day on something, and don't just write 2 words like, great job or um, great article or anything like that, like, no, or congratulations. Write something substantive, like show that you could write a sentence and 15, 18 words or more. And if you write even more and you have that little see more, there's something called dwell time. So people will spend more time. If they click on the see more, they'll read that comment. So, you want to add thought leadership to the world. Um, and that way people engage back and forth on the post. And when you are commenting on somebody else's post, it creates discoverability, like you said, be in the feed. It creates visibility, could be in the feed. And it also creates credibility if you have some thought leadership of something useful, to say, to add to the conversation. So, when you go into your analytics and your search appearances, you can see like what the percentage is of being found um, uh, from comments versus posts. And I think yesterday I was being found 57% of comments because I was teaching a workshop yesterday and looked that up. So I always I try to comment on 5 things before I actually post anything. And I think people should post at least 1 to 3 times a week. This morning it was not possible because I had a 7 o'clock to 9 o'clock meeting and I was driving before and after. And so I only got to make one comment this morning and I had a scheduled post go out. It is what it is. Life happens, but I went to an in-person breakfast meeting. So those are my tips for getting out there. It's like if you don't have activity on LinkedIn, you got to put yourself out there, right? Yeah, otherwise you won't get discovered. So, anything else you want to say about resume or LinkedIn before we start talking a little bit about interviews? Can you hear me?
That you have had on your organization versus the task that you perform to create that impact, the more your resume is going to stand out. And I know that it's hard to do because salespeople, they might be good at selling their product or service, but selling themselves is a completely different ballgame. But really try to look at it objectively. Maybe go back and ask some former bosses or colleagues, hey, when you worked with me, what stood out to you? What was I good at? Where did I really shine? And have them tell you, and this way it can give you some frame of reference to be able to add those types of things to your resume.
All right. So, as an internal talent acquisition, do you prepare candidates in any way, shape, or form with questions or before they meet with the hiring manager? Or are they kind of on their own? Or are you kind of making the decision? All right, we have a delay here.
Lynn, I'm sorry, you froze up there.
All right.
I
All right.
believe you were
Okay. So
asking
we're
if
talking about interviews. All right.
I
Can we do you prepare
prepare
candidates
candidates
for
for
hiring managers?
information as possible and to I'm sorry, I'm not for me. My goal is to give the candidate as much information as possible and to let them know what to expect next step.
All right.
Oh my, Lynn, are you there?
I'm here. I don't know if you guys are able to tell if it's me or her that is freezing up. Let me see if some comments come in here. Is it me or Mary that's freezing up? I don't know if there's anything we
Or
can do about it. Oh, okay. So you try to prepare the candidates before they meet with the hiring manager. Are there any common questions that a candidate should be ready to answer? Oh, it's Mary. Okay. So it's your internet that's cutting out. Sorry about that. Okay. Um, I don't know if you can. Oh, sometimes it's both. All right. I don't know. So,
oh no,
Yeah, the
Oh.
audience is saying that it's your internet. So are you on, you're on your okay, she's gonna get off and maybe try and get on again. So here I am. I'll run the show solo here. So I saw somebody that asked a question about the X um for a placeholder. So maybe Mary will pop back in here. Um, I will see if I can find the prompt for the person about the X placeholder. Give me 1 second here. Okay, Mary's back on. All right, you're back. I hope it works. All
Hear
right.
me now.
So I'm going to give I can hear you now. Somebody asked about,
Okay.
the X for a placeholder for a number. So I'll just give people the prompt. I'm actually teaching this in about an hour um, for another workshop. So here's my prompt, folks. I'm going to provide you with one bullet point from a resume. Please rewrite it to include a metric that might be a number, percent, or dollar amount. Use an X for the metric placeholder. Do you understand? And then ChatGPT or whatever will come back and say, yes, I understand. And then I put a bullet point in, and then it will spit it back out with an X placeholder of whether I should use a dollar, a number, or a percent. If the candidate knows that number, great. If they don't, then they're going to have to figure out how they can get a metric in, something that they do know, because you have to be able to sleep on your pillow at night, look at yourself in the mirror in the morning, and know that you are providing a truthful metric on that resume. So that's my 2 cents worth. All right, back to Mary. So, next question. Are there common interview questions that a candidate should be ready to answer? I think she's frozen again. Can you hear me, Mary? Okay, when this
Lynn,
happens, put it
it
on
just
closed
unfroze. I
caption.
apologize. I didn't hear that last question.
Okay, so somebody says Lynn says put it on closed caption. I wish I knew how to do that. Oh, here, captions? Um,
Can
captions,
you hear me?
no. I can hear you, but I don't know how to put it on closed caption on Restream. I've never experienced this. Learning, first time for everything. But okay, we're gonna keep trying here. So what are some of the important interview questions people should be ready to answer? I'm gonna look up how to do closed caption on Restream. Um, hmm. Okay, the captions, add. Uh, I don't think I know how to do that, guys. Um, it looks more complicated than I can figure out live here. Sorry about that. Um, Mary, did you hear me about what kind of interview questions should a candidate be ready to answer? Close all other programs to free bandwidth. Um,
I'm closed out of everything that I can.
okay.
I did just hear you there.
Okay, good. All right. So, yeah, if you closed out everything you can, then that might help because I'm hearing you now, um, which is great. All right.
Good.
So
That's
my question was,
good.
are are there common interview questions that candidates should be ready to answer?
Absolutely. The first interview question is usually tell me about yourself. You should just explain 30 seconds, your elevator pitch of your career. Focusing primarily on the relevant work and or your most recent work. Um, I also think that, I know that there's a lot of fear around the greatest weakness question. That is definitely a question where it gives you the opportunity to state a true weakness, preferably one not related, not a must have for the position, but, and then explain what you have done and are currently doing to overcome that weakness. Those I think are probably the most common interview questions.
Awesome. Um, so what's going on with like what kind of skills do you look for in people? And what are the most sought after skills and qualifications in candidates right now?
Sure. I think communication skills are first and foremost what, employers are looking for in 99% of positions. The ability to communicate interpersonally and across the very important. Also basic computer skills, Microsoft Office and applications like that are, are critical in
Maybe
in,
take yourself
um,
off video again.
in most positions where you would be using
Can you turn off your video? I'm going to turn off your
off. And
video. Yes,
I
that was
did.
coming through better with your
I
camera
thought
off.
since it was
Yeah.
working.
Okay.
Okay.
No, you are coming through better with your camera off. So you got bandwidth things going on. So, um, okay.
Okay. We'll
So,
keep that way.
what kind of soft skills other than communication skills, um, are you looking for in the hiring process? Which ones are most particularly valued?
That's a great question. So communication is definitely first, but I would say um, the ability to um, the ability to follow up. I see many cases where candidates apply and the recruiter reaches out, and it takes the candidates quite a bit, maybe several days to a week to get back, and by that time, other candidates are already further in the process. So just be sure that if you are looking for a position and applying, that you are checking your email, your voicemail, your text messages regularly and responding within a business day.
Okay, really, really good point. So, are you sending people texts?
I am. I mean, my applicant tracking system is not equipped with that technology, or at least the company has not activated it. However, I do use my work phone to send text to candidates, particularly if I have not heard from them via email. But I also try to set the expectation, hey, when I hear back from the hiring manager, I'm going to give you a call. I'll also send you an email. Try to get back to me within a business day, if not sooner.
Okay, great. So what applicant tracking system does your company use?
We're using UKG. It used to be called Ultipro. It's a common ATS for kind of small and mid-sized businesses.
I never heard of that one, so I just learned something new. I have a list of ATS systems. There's like 488 or something like that. The list keeps changing. Um, but normally I hear Workday and iSIMS and um, uh, several others that are not coming up to the tip of my tongue right now. But UKG. All right, good to know. All right, I'm going to do a quick little commercial break here and just wanted to let everybody
Yeah.
know that this particular event is co promoted by greatcareers.org, which is the 501c3 nonprofit that I run. And it's also co promoted by the Thought Leadership Branding Club, not .com, but .club. And so, um, we promote this event, and there's lots of other events on both platforms. So if check out those websites, you can join in and keep learning. um, all right, let's talk about the types of roles that your company offers typically, and cover all gamuts, so to speak, because you never know who's
Yeah.
on the call or who knows who, and they have friends job seeking. I know you have some what I would call white collar and blue collar, and that's okay. Just tell us all of what kind of jobs you're currently trying to fill, and then where they're located, and do you have any remote jobs?
Sure. So many of our jobs are either on-site or hybrid. Right now, we are going through a period of hyper growth. We expect to hire and onboard probably close to 20 salespeople throughout the end of this year, and that includes both inside and outside sales. So for those roles, someone who has sold services to other businesses would definitely be a plus. Also, customer service roles and sales support coordinators, which is like an administrative type of role. Many of these roles are going to be based out of our Dallas Fort Worth headquarters, specifically Irving, Texas, with a hybrid schedule. We also have we are expanding our regional sales roles as well, which are based throughout the United States. I have a meeting on Monday actually about the expansion in that department that's happening. We also hire a lot of CDL drivers, Class A mainly, but some Class B. These are the people who are going out and with a tanker truck and vacuuming up the liquid waste from those grease traps and so forth. So there are various positions with CDL license requirements. And then we do have some positions like plant operators who are working in our wastewater treatment facilities and maintenance technicians. And then, of course, we sometimes have positions for supervisors or managers at any of our plants or depots. I just received a requisition for a regional vice president of operations based out of Ohio. So there are lots of different opportunities. I certainly invite you to check out our careers page. And of course, you're welcome to connect with me on LinkedIn if you have any specific questions.
So, you're headquartered in Texas, but you have
Yes.
plants like in what states across the country? And is there anything in Canada?
We are not in Canada as of yet. That could change, you never know. But there are facilities throughout the United States. I am still learning about these, but California, Texas, Florida, Connecticut, Wisconsin, Michigan, and several other states. To be honest, it's and we're growing all the time, both through acquisition and organically. So definitely keep an eye on our careers page, and feel free to reach out if you have any specific questions about locations. To see if we have anything where you're
Well, I was
located.
born in Michigan, so where in Michigan is your place located?
Sure. So we have operations in Grand Rapids and Detroit
All right,
areas.
awesome. I have a client right now who's in Michigan, and he is a customer service, customer support. So I may connect you with him. All
Okay.
right. Um, okay, so I we talked a little bit before the show about if somebody were to go get a CDL driver's license, that only takes 6 to 8 weeks, but you require a year of driving before they can come and drive for you. So I thought that was a great potential solution for some people who are, long-term unemployed. Sometimes you got to pivot, until you can find a job. So maybe that wasn't such a great idea because you need to have a year under your belt. But, any thoughts on that?
Absolutely. So, I have seen this time and again with just about every employer I've worked with has some form of supply chain, and CDL drivers are in exceptionally high demand across the country. And they're not, there are positions where you are away from home, over the road drivers, they're called. And so that is kind of the trucker life that you hear about. But there are plenty of positions that have local routes where you're home daily, including the ones with liquid environmental solutions. Um, so if you have been unemployed and you're looking for a new career, a lot of these jobs will have, sign-on bonuses and really great pay, as well as advancement opportunities, for getting different certifications and such. So it's definitely a great avenue to check out with long-term career viability.
Yeah, there's a young man who went to Valley Forge Christian College, which is right near me, and he did some tasks to help me, at my house, and he also helped my mom and her partner with their senior citizen stuff. So I got to know him really well. He did wind up marrying one of his um the other students there, and then they moved down to Jacksonville, Florida.
Mhm.
He became a teacher for a year, and after that, he's like, "No, no can do." So he went out and got his CDL license, and that's what he's doing now, and he's happy as a clam. He's a foster parent. He adopted one little boy. He and his wife had a boy, and then they adopted 4 other children. And so the CDL driver's life has been, keeping his family in good stead. Um, all right, let's talk about if people wanted to reach out to you, are you open to connecting with folks on LinkedIn?
I definitely am. I have actually seen some invitations coming through. I'm happy to connect.
Awesome.
So please, look for me. I'm Mary Iswalt, ISWALT, with Liquid Environmental Solutions.
Awesome. So I don't know if um, uh, Meryl Cass is on this call or not right now, but I see Lynn S. Kite Tant is. So just for giggles, I'm going to pass on. I already passed on the code for Merrill, so that he could invite people to come up to the stage. But I'm going to send it to Lynn just in case. If you could both put it in the chat, if anybody wants to come up and ask questions, then you're welcome to do that. And Lynn, just as an FYI, my recruiter for August, the third Thursday in August, she is specifically looking for veterans. So I'm going to be in touch with you, and maybe you can rev this up. The August one, you're going to rev that up to your veteran community, because she has jobs for veterans, and she's looking for secret clearances and whatnot. So I'll let you know about that when the time comes. My recruiter for next month is Cabril Bradley, and she's with PPL. So we're talking a utilities company. So if anybody wants to learn more about utilities positions, join us next month. So let's talk about when you've submitted a candidate to a hiring manager. What happens after that with the process? How soon should a job seeker try to follow up? Should they follow up with you? Should they follow up with the hiring manager? What's the best process?
So with most companies, unless the hiring manager is the one setting up the job or setting up the interview, my suggestion would always be to reach out directly to your recruiter. The recruiters, trust me, are trying to get feedback as soon as humanly possible to get back to you. In some cases, it does take a couple of days. So I would say to wait 2 to 3 days before you reach back out to your recruiter. But I can assure you that most of us do not have a problem with follow-up. In fact, it shows that you're interested and is taken well. But I would say maybe give it at least 2 days for that recruiter to get back to you before reaching out.
So are you seeing people sending thank you notes for the interview by snail mail, by email, or by both?
Almost 100% email. I also do recommend that. It's a way, sometimes when you get off of an interview or you leave an interview, you think, oh man, I should have said this, or, they brought that up as something that's really important to this job, and I didn't express it the way I wanted to. The thank you note is great. You can say, hey, thank you, I'm excited. Here's a little bit about me and why I'm a great fit. And I'm really excited and I would love the opportunity to continue in the process. There's an art to thank you notes, but please check your spelling, your grammar, make sure that you are addressing it to the right name, and that the spelling of that name is correct. But otherwise, it's really a great way to not only follow up and express your interest, but to fill in any gaps from the interview.
Okay, so I invite anybody that wants to come up to the stage to come up. So in the meantime, I have a question, because I know there's somebody in the audience that wants to know the answer to this question. So let's talk about neurodiversity. Okay, so I'm the mother of an AUDHD adult child, autistic and ADHD, and there are job candidates out there that are neurodivergent. And when you talk about communication skills, sometimes the communication, conversation, verbal may falter. Sometimes there may not be eye contact, because autism is a spectrum. So you want to talk a little bit about neurodiversity in the hiring process.
Absolutely. So as an ADHD person myself, I do understand that to some extent, and I realize that there are others who are more impacted, by their disorder. But I do think it's really critical for companies to be aware of these things and to really focus more on skills. And that is something that, with my last few employers, I've really tried to create more skills-based interviewing guides, and training around these sorts of things, so that, in an interview, the interviewer can, look beyond certain things and really identify if the skills that the person has are going to be a fit for the position.
Yeah, that's awesome. My daughter left a six-figure IT job, and she now has put together a portfolio career. Her portfolio career is all W-2 work for the most part. Um, so she has three jobs, and she doesn't have to get up early in the morning. She's not a morning person either. She's a night
Yeah.
owl like me. So different strokes for different folks. And once upon a time when I was a job seeker, I went 7.5 months with no interview, and I'm like, "Oh my goodness, there's something wrong here." And that's when I learned a lot about the applicant tracking system and how my resume was not formatted properly and all that stuff. But 11.5 months I went without a job, and I just realized, okay, well, if I can't find a full-time job, I'm going to take a part-time job. And as soon as I changed
Mhm.
my message to seeking, a couple part-time jobs that were going to be over 40 hours a week, all of a sudden, then came the full-time job that was 40 hours a week, and I decided to go that route. But sometimes you have to pivot and come up with something unique and different that's going to work for you, because we do have a pretty wackadoo job market going on right now, and there are a lot of long-term unemployed people. So keep your mind open and your options open. It's not like you're making a life commitment to any place, right? So
100%.
okay,
Definitely agree.
so it doesn't look like there's anybody coming up to the stage yet. And thank you, Lynn. I see your link that popped into the chat. But I'm going to ask Mary a few more questions, and we'll see if anybody decides they want to pop on here. So, is there anything that I've not asked you that you'd like to share?
Well, you've asked a lot of great questions so far. I would say, it's a good idea, and something that I realized in 2025, believe it or not, I was laid off twice. So
Mm,
being a job seeker for the first time in a while is very daunting, especially in this market. And the one thing that I realized, even though I'm a recruiter and I talk to people all the time, I have a network of people in operations and supply chain and so forth. I realized that my network of other people, like HR people, was not as robust as I thought it was. So I joined some
mm,
local associations and I've attended events, and I'm an introvert. It is not comfortable for me. But if you go to these events and just introduce yourself, say, I'm going to introduce myself to three people tonight, that it can be a real difference maker. They might be able to make an introduction, or, even just expand your LinkedIn network and that sort of thing. I've made some really great connections at these events, and I highly, highly suggest that you look for communities in your area that where people in your profession would be?
Yeah, so Mary and I are both members of ATD, Association of Talent Development, and we both belong to the Philadelphia chapter. And so we were at a networking meeting where there was somebody doing a live demo of Scrum, and it was with ping pong balls. I think that was the most fun networking meeting I have ever been to. The guy was just awesome. I had a
It
ball.
was so
How about
great.
you?
It
Yeah.
was amazing. I wasn't I was tired that day. You know, I wasn't feeling like peopling, but I am so glad that I went because it was so much fun and I learned a bit.
Yes. Yeah. It was a real exercise in critical thinking and teamwork,
Mhm. Yep.
communicating, problem solving with people that you're unfamiliar with. Right? So,
Yep.
it was a great lesson in so many different areas. So, yeah, I'm so glad we ran into each other there too. So, again, you're willing to have people reach out and connect on LinkedIn. Why don't you recap your company's website?
Sure. So it is liquidenviro.com. And there is a link to our careers page there where all of our jobs are listed and kept up to date. Many of our jobs are also posted on LinkedIn. So you're welcome to check those out. And again, if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out. You can also follow our LinkedIn page so that you're kept aware of new positions that come up.
Do you normally put all your positions that are available on LinkedIn or just some of them?
Um, Currently we are putting the sales and corporate positions on LinkedIn, and some of the I guess more office-based field positions. Typically, our hourly operations positions are they're definitely going to be on Indeed, and all of our roles will be on our careers page.
Okay, great. So I always tell people, if you find a job on LinkedIn, don't apply on LinkedIn. Go to the
Correct.
company's career page. And, like you said, you have an applicant tracking system, right?
Mhm.
So it's better to have the information from a candidate, right at your fingertips in your company's database, right?
Absolutely. So if you see a quick apply, whether it's on LinkedIn or Indeed, your profile is getting shared, but only on that platform. If it links you to the company's website, yes, it is a longer application. However, that is getting your application, your official application into the system of record, and that is where the recruiter needs you to be ultimately. So it is beneficial to go direct to the company's career page and apply there.
So when I go to your company's career page and get in your applicant tracking system, do you happen to know, does it say upload or autofill?
So there is, we're going to be doing an optimization of the ATS, but there is an option to upload and autofill. Right now, it does ask, that you either upload a resume or fill in. You can manually fill in your career history and education history. But again, there's going to be more to come on that. We're going to try to optimize and streamline that a bit.
And then typically, and many applicant tracking systems at the end, it might say, do you want to attach your resume? Is that what happens with yours? And do you have other attachments that people can attach, like a, CDL certification or whatever it may be?
Yes and yes. So it does ask towards the beginning of the application if you'd like to attach a resume, and that helps with the auto filling to a degree. But you are able to attach other, I just had someone attach a certification the other day. So you are able to attach whether it be a cover letter or certification as well.
Yeah, I when I work with clients, I have a pretty resume with a little pop of color for humans, and then I
Okay.
have a boring black and white deconstructed resume with like no formatting or anything in it
Mhm.
for the upload autofill for the beginning of an ATS. So yeah,
Yeah.
you got to kind of keep two resumes in sync, but I think with a lot of ATS systems, when you have bigger companies, you want the bot to be able to read and extract the information from the resume and put it into the fields of the database. It doesn't always work 100% perfectly, but at least if you do have a ATS friendly format that it can read, it will minimize how much time you have to spend copy paste, copy paste, copy paste. We're all battling, time is money, so to speak. So,
Sure.
all right. So somebody's saying the new term now for contracting is fractional work. Has anyone done this or taken this type of work? Do you offer fractional work?
I do. So I have an LLC called Transform Talent. And I happened to be contacted by a former HR director of mine who needed some help with recruiting and some process and systems optimization. And that's actually how I ended up here at Liquid Environmental Solutions. And I think it can be very valuable to gain experience in different areas, to gain experience in different types of companies and so forth. It is a lifestyle. It does require some, ability to adapt, to sell yourself, and so forth. But it's rewarding. My whole purpose behind Transform Talent is to help organizations to strengthen their processes and systems to be people centered and provide world class experiences for everyone involved. And I think that's, really, really important. And that's what separates companies from other organizations out there in the market.
All right. All right. Well, we are at time. I still don't see anybody that wants to come up and join us on stage. And I have to say, by taking your picture off, everything has come through clearly on my end. So if you want to bring yourself back on camera and, wave goodbye and share any last minute things, and then we'll just wind up ending.
Well, thank you, everybody. I appreciate it. Sorry for the technical difficulties. I had three Teams calls earlier today with no problem, so I'm not sure what happened, but I appreciate you hanging in there with me. And it was a pleasure speaking with you all today. And again, feel free to connect. I'm happy to help in any way that I can.
All right. Well, thanks so much for coming and joining me today. Appreciate it. This is going to be on my LinkedIn profile under events, and it's also live streamed on our YouTube channel. And I look forward to welcoming Cabriel Bradley in July. And then Debbie Kleiman, for the veterans focused one in August. And that's as far as I got. So anybody else knows a recruiter or talent acquisition who would like to be on this call, then please send them my way. Thanks, everyone, and have a great